Back in 2021, my family and I were on a walk. We came across these stunning white houses and we made a pact. If we could sell our current house, these are the houses we'd want to buy. And I don't know who we thought we were kidding, because we certainly did not have enough money for one of these. Not to mention the fact that we couldn't even sell our bastard house, but we set the intention anyway. The only problem was, these houses never came up for sale, and one day we just decided to knock. And to our surprise, the woman was like, yeah, come in. No, really. She invited us straight in to look around. After looking around, we were even more certain that we were never going to be able to afford it. It was literally perfect. I tell her I've been manifesting a white house for years, and I even show her my Pinterest board. She's super spiritual and actually really cool. But her husband isn't in, and she tells us that realistically he will have the final call since it was his house to begin with. But as I say, our house has been up for months. 2 days later we get a call from the estate agents. They've got a potential buyer. So I get the house ready like you do, and light a few candles. And as I'm standing in my kitchen, I can hear them approaching and they're coming down the drive. And I'm sure I recognise those voices. They've got a very familiar accent. And the man's voice is very loud, so I can hear him from inside the house. When I see him, I cannot believe who it is. The people that bought our last house from us. I could end this story there. They love the house. They offer asking. We accept. There's one problem. The house that we want, the husband wants an obnoxious amount of money, but we do not have it. And even with us selling a car and borrowing money left, right and centre, there was just no way. That's why it was a bit of a surprise when we get a call late one night. It's from the lady who owns the house. She really wants to move. We put in an offer which is way lower. It was actually lower than what we could afford, which was nice because the house needed quite a bit of work. They accepted. Everything's set. We move in. The house is beautiful. It's literally our dream home. But as I say, there's a lot of work got to be done in this house. So as we're ripping things out of the kitchen, one of our builders starts to pick up these jars. They're pretty much everywhere, hidden in random places. But he says he's done a quick Google and he's pretty sure that they're for spiders, which would make sense because we did see some big spiders when we first moved in. Everything's going well with the renovations. That is until the builder's nan would die. The builder had actually been raised by his nan, so this was massively devastating and all the construction had to stop. So we had no kitchen for a good few weeks. He did have a chippy that he sent to us on a few occasions, but then the chippy ends up getting sick. Really sick, with pneumonia, in the middle of summer. Again, everything's delayed. Our kids couldn't sleep, particularly the eldest one. He would cry nearly every day that he wanted to go back to his old house. I had to put it down to the change, a new room. I'd end up sleeping in with him most nights. So when I started to feel a little bit down, I kind of put it down to the fact that I wasn't sleeping very well. This wasn't just your regular, tired, down in the dumps. It would happen every day at exactly the same time. I would wake up, I would get out of bed, and I would feel like myself. But as I would make my way onto the landing and down the stairs, I would get a tidal wave of emotion. Literally the only way I can describe it. It was literally like you picked up my consciousness and somebody else had mine and I had theirs. I felt lonely. Massive loneliness. And some days I would just cry as I would go down the stairs. By the time I would have my coffee, I'd feel absolutely fine again. Now, at that point, because we'd been having a lot of work done, things were going wrong with the electricity. Random alarms would go off. Lights would go off, particularly the landing. And I put it down to the fact that people had been messing around with the electricity as they were doing things with the kitchen, until one day I was in the spare room and I was folding washing. And I looked out into the hallway and I swear to God, I felt like someone was watching me. I could literally describe this man to you. I knew his hair colour, I knew his height, but I never saw him. Never believed in ghosts, I've never believed in spirits, nothing. So it pains me to say that I've had this experience, trust me. And then one day, I'm bathing the kids. I'm just going to insert the clip for you.
It's on my bed, someone touched me, no, Mom, no, this is why I want to move out.
Oh, darling.
I think someone in this house is looking. Where we go?
Oh, darling.
I think it's looking for that.
I promise you there's no one, sweetheart. I promise.
No, but I'm still really scared.
You don't need to be scared,
Well,
darling.
it was real.
It's not real.
So what I saw was lots of people in this house.
Okay.
So there's lots of people in this house hiding.
They nice people?
No, they're evil.
Why?
I know why. But I don't know why. That's the point. I never went near them.
You didn't go near them?
They're evil.
What were they doing here?
No. We got to move house. That's why we move house. It's the only way to do it. With this, I mean, we have to go to a different house to do it. And they have to live in a different house as well. But we're going to tell them, don't go in our house.
In this house?
Yeah, it's creepy.
So after all of that, pretty much everybody in my family starts to have bad dreams about things to do with water, like drowning, going missing at sea, like you name it, pretty much everyone in my family starts to dream about water. And we start to get random leaks everywhere in the house, or just like random patches of water just on the kitchen side, like nowhere near the tap, no one's left a bottle of water, nothing. And it got so bad that at one point I was like, I'm just going to message the old owner and be like, what do you know about this crazy stuff happening in this house? And so I searched her on Facebook, I searched the name that was on like all the legal forms that we'd signed, and I couldn't find her, like could not find her on any social media. And then we get a bit of post come through the door one day, and it's like her name but slightly different, like the first name was the same, but the last name was completely different. So I just thought I'll chance it and search her in that name, and I find her. She's on Facebook, and she's got like one of those Facebooks where some stuff is public and some of it isn't. And the first thing I see, as soon as you go on her page, right at the top, is a tribute to her brother. I fucking kid you not. He's tall, he has dark hair. Like, I wish I'd have drawn a picture of this guy that I felt like was like staring at me putting the washing away, or like staring at me when I was on my Peloton. I promise you that this was the guy. So now I'm like confirmed, I'm like almost confirmed in my head, like I'm not going crazy. One of my friends is like a psychic, she has like mad abilities. So I go to her and I'm like, Tash, help me. Gives me loads of stuff to do and I do every single thing. I feel like kind of justified because Tash is agreeing with me and I've seen this guy's face. I actually start to talk about it to my clients and things like that, which I had avoided doing because I genuinely thought people were going to section me. And one of the people that I tell actually used to do the woman who lived in my house's nails. And she said that he had died at like 23, he'd gone travelling, he'd got drunk, he'd gone out swimming, and they'd never seen him again. And she also told me that this woman was very spiritual. So I reckon what happened is she probably tried to do some sort of thing to speak to him, like brought spirits into the house. Lastly, again, this is just like purely my conspiracy, like I don't have any confirmation of this, but I think obviously where he was travelling, when he would come to the UK, because the nail lady told me that he used to come and visit for like a few weeks and then he'd go again, it makes sense that he would be in like the second biggest room. Like you wouldn't put him in your husband's room. And the second biggest room was my son's room.